Hi there, I'm Kim Vanel taking you through some of the things people are talking about and the stuff they're sharing around the world on Newsfeed today. Spot the difference, or perhaps don't, why this year's Miss India contest is causing a stir. Trump was once the king of Twitter, but is his crown slipping? The president of the Philippines makes his audience cringe by asking for volunteers to kiss him. And forget gender reveals, empty nest photo shoots are where it's at. Beauty pageants, yeah, that's still a thing, and they're big business. Perhaps nowhere more so than in India, where the contest launches Bollywood careers and can catapult one to fame. 30 women are vying for this year's title, but it seems no matter who wins the crown, there's only going to be one winner. Here's Rebecca Bundan in Mumbai.
The Miss India beauty pageant should be quite a light-hearted event, but it's proved to be very controversial. That's because critics are saying that the 30 finalists all appear to look very similar when pictured here in this Indian newspaper. In particular, in these photos, it appears that they all have very similar light skin tones. That's despite the fact that India, of course, has a very diverse range of skin tones. This is a concern because there's a widespread perception in India among many people that lighter skin is somehow superior to dark skin, and there's a worry that organisers, it appears, are perhaps favouring lighter skin tones from these photographs. This apparent lack of diversity has created a bit of a storm on social media. Here, one user says that they all have the same hair and the same skin colour. So much for India being a diverse country, she says. Then there's a male user who questions, why can't a Miss India be a dusky or a dark brown or darker chocolate brown? So much for the love of fair skin. I sincerely believe we are the most racist country in the world, he writes. But someone replies and defends the competition, saying that the pictures appear to be airbrushed to some extent, and that organisers over the years of Miss India have made efforts to create more diversity. But most Bollywood stars are of quite a fair complexion, and there's even a very large market in India for skin whitening products. And some people are saying that these pictures from Miss India might only reinforce what's a very unfair beauty stereotype.
We all know Trump has an itchy finger for Twitter. Over 60 million followers and 42,000 tweets over the past decade. It's his favourite way to connect, complain and criticise. He's consistently been able to send newsrooms into an absolute frenzy with just 160 characters. But his Twitter power might be in trouble. Adama explains why.
It's been dubbed the Twitter presidency. In his first 6 months in office, Donald Trump was tweeting about 6 times daily. Now, he's firing off many more, up to 22 every single day. It seems a lot for someone who has one of the busiest jobs in the world. But new data shows Trump's tweet marathon isn't packing as much of a punch these days. According to Axios, the more Trump tweets, the less likely his followers are to respond.
Trump's lines of attack have been repeated so much that they don't shock anymore. Because norm-breaking tweets have become the new norm, he doesn't cover them as often, and therefore casual readers hear about them less.
Robert Mueller should have never been chosen because he wanted the FBI job and he didn't get it, and the next day he was picked as special counsel. So you tell somebody, I'm sorry, you can't have the job. And then after you say that, he's going to make a ruling on you. It doesn't work that way.
Attacking the Mueller report has become routine. Since April Fool's Day, Trump has tweeted no collusion 54 times, no obstruction 30 times, and witch hunt 20 times. And the so-called Russia hoax isn't even Trump's top topic online. It's actually
fake news.
No surprises there.
Let's have a look now at some other things that caught our eye on social media and a warning this first story may make you a little squeamish if you're not a fan of needles. This charming young man, who calls himself the world's most modified youth, has documented his adventures avoiding the police on Instagram. 23-year-old Australian Ethan Bramble has some 200,000 followers and is regular on chat shows where he talks about the stigma of his unusual appearance. He turned to those followers when police issued a warrant for his arrest over assault allegations. Taunting police in his posts, he later said he will hand himself in to sign some papers. Surely it should have been easy to find someone quite so distinctive. American singer R. Kelly has been charged with another 11 sexual offences, this time relating to minors aged between 13 and 16. His lawyer says the charges are linked to the same alleged incident for which he's already out on bail. Dozens of women have come forward accusing Kelly of sexual abuse. These latest allegations are the most serious. The rapper is now facing up to 30 years in prison. A 97-year-old granny who never got to go to her high school prom has had her dreams come true, and the very, very cute pictures are doing the rounds. Helen Davis's granddaughter found out that Helen missed out on the American rite of passage in her own era, so invited her along to her son's, that's Helen's great-grandson's prom. And the best part, Helen was named prom queen, crown and all. Bless you, Helen. In the age of fake news, students from Addis Ababa University in Ethiopia have come up with a solution. They've designed and developed an app to check the trustworthiness of news content. Coletta Wanjohi reports from the capital.
The group calls itself Shitek. It has developed a Google Chrome extension to flag up suspicious information as users browse the internet.
Whenever we visit a news site or any website, it checks if the pictures uploaded in that website are photoshopped, if any manipulation has been done on the pictures, if anything has been added on the picture prior to the picture being posted for the first time, it alerts the user.
The app also has a database of spam words. When they appear in an article, an alert comes up. It tells the user to double-check the validity of the content. The app's development coincides with a debate in Ethiopia over how to stop propaganda and fake news from spreading.
The government has recently warned people against posting false content on Facebook, especially photos, saying it is partly to blame for inciting violence.
Some experts say the government is partly to blame for social media taking over from conventional news sources.
It's not wrong if one may say that the freedom of expression and media has been an exception, and censorship, whether state-imposed or self-imposed, has been the rule in Ethiopia.
Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed wants to institute media reforms and give more freedom to the industry. But some journalists say that when the government delays the release of information, people turn to social media, where information at times is exaggerated.
Government offices should open a bit more. Our freedom of information, the FOIA systems should be set up properly so that you guys, when you're going to a government office, you don't have to wait 90 days for them to respond to you when you're looking for information.
In recent years, the government has temporarily shut down the internet to prevent the spread of what it calls fake news. But the problem hasn't gone away. Misikir Admasu and her fellow developers at Shitek think they've found something to help. They are looking for investors in their app to make internet content more trustworthy.
Monastic living was once considered to mean leaving mainstream society and living a life of prayer and contemplation. But there's a monk from Myanmar who's notorious for stoking religious tensions. Authorities want to charge him for sedition, but he has plenty of supporters.
Monks in Myanmar are marching against an arrest warrant for Wiratu, a high-profile preacher known for tirades against Muslims. But supporters say Wiratu is a warrior.
He is a hero monk. If he thinks the charge is fair, he won't dodge it. He'll face it. We don't believe he's on the run or hiding.
Wiratu's hate-preaching sermons against Rohingya Muslims are blamed for religious hatred and violence. He says the military, which carried out a brutal crackdown on Muslims in 2017, should be worshipped like Buddha. But it's targeting Myanmar's leader Aung San Suu Kyi, which seems to have been too much for authorities. He's facing a sedition charge for criticising the government at a nationalist rally.
Virathu made his criticism because he has the right of freedom of speech, like other citizens in this country. I don't think it's fair he's being sued for defaming the government, and we condemn it.
But many others see a relationship between monks and the military as an unholy alliance.
Well, let's go around the world now for some other stories you need to know this Friday. What word comes to mind when you watch this? This is the Philippines president requesting female volunteers to kiss him. Awkward, misogynist, sexist, or perhaps just plain old creepy? Rodrigo Duterte was up to his old kind of gross tricks when he met with the Filipino community during a trip to Japan. He asked for these young ladies to volunteer to kiss him and then asked, wait for it, a widowed volunteer from the audience. All class, that guy. Ben & Jerry's is getting on the CBD wagon, announcing its plan to offer a cannabidiol-infused ice cream as soon as the FDA approves it, of course. CBD is a chemical compound found in cannabis. Proponents say it's a healing compound that promotes relaxation and calm. And important to note, though, it's very different to THC. That is the active compound in weed. That's the stuff that makes users high. So this will just be a tasty and chill treat if and when it hits the market. A genetically engineered parasite is providing serious hope for the eradication of malaria, but it's also raising some pretty intense ethical and environmental questions. Researchers took a fungus which naturally infects mosquitoes and gene-edited it in order to produce spider venom. That venom then kills off the mosquitoes. Field testing in a fake village in Burkina Faso found the fungus killed 99% of malaria-carrying mosquitoes without killing other insects like bees. But the question is, what happens if humans release a completely new, genetically engineered species into the wild? The answer? No one can really know. The fortune of this French rock star, or the French Elvis as he's known, has been handed to his children after they used Instagram to prove the inheritance is rightfully theirs. Johnny Halliday died in 2017, and since then there's been a battle between his fourth wife, Leticia, and his two grown children from a previous marriage. The kids argued that because he spent most of his time in France, his will should be governed by French law, which states children of the deceased cannot be entirely left out. Using Instagram to chart his movements, the kids proved their dad spent more time in France than in the US, and a judge agreed. Insta evidence is now legally permissible. After raising children, finding yourself with an empty nest can be quite unsettling. Well, obviously, I don't have first-hand experience, but that's what I'm told. One American couple whose daughter is a photographer captured their feelings about it all, and the internet is loving it. Take a look.
3, 2, 1.
Pregnancy announcements and gender reveals have really come into their own on the gram. But this couple is entering a somewhat different phase of life and decided to take a different approach. This is their empty nesters shoot, and their excitement is palpable. The photos were taken by their daughter, who was the last of their kids to leave home, and whose side hustle is a photography business. Empty nest syndrome is well documented.
There's going to be grieving, there's going to be excitement, there's going to be hope, there's going to be fear.
But it's happening later and later in life, because kids are waiting longer to leave home. In the UK, nearly 1 million more young people are living with the olds compared to 20 years ago, and the trend is much the same in the US. Rising house prices and unstable rents are at least partly to blame, and young people are now studying for longer and have less stable jobs. So when the kids finally do leave home, for the Englishes at least, it's reason to celebrate. That's all from the Newsfeed team. Next week we're going to be off. It's Bairam. Happy Bairam to you. But you can come at me with your questions, your comments, complaints and suggestions, of course. You can reach me at Kim Vanel. You'll find us 24/7 on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to our channel and follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Follow, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.